Give me 1 second. I'm looking to my left because there's another screen over there and I can tell when we're up and running. I feel like I'm landing a plane here. Good. All right. We are live on YouTube and this recording is also on, and we have the public line also in here too. Okay, we're ready to go.
Ready to go. Okay. It's 10:05 a.m. Apologies to everyone for our late start. The meeting of the Rules Policy Industrial Relations Committee went just a little long. But now I'm calling to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of Friday, June 24th, 2022. Standard notice before we begin, please note this meeting is live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Members of the public are encouraged to watch and listen to the meeting on YouTube or by dialing into 415-569-6446 for the audio of this meeting. And keep your pencil and pad out because I'll give that number again. If you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting and have not done so already, please call 415-569-6446 and let the facilitator know you would like to provide public comment. I appreciate everyone's patience as we move through today's meeting. Madam Secretary, the roll, please.
Good morning again, everyone. Starting with Director Arnold. Director Arnold stepped away for a second. Director Conroy.
Present.
Thank you. Director Garbarino.
Present.
Director Giudice.
Here.
Director Grosball.
Present.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Here.
Director Parr.
Present.
Director Rabbit.
Here.
Director Rodoni.
Here.
Director Snyder.
Here.
Director Stephanie.
Here.
Director Thier.
Here.
Thank you. Second Vice President Hill.
Here.
First Vice President Cochran.
Here.
And President Tiria.
Here.
Thank you. I'm circling back. I see Director Arnold.
Here.
Hi there. Thank you. And you have a quorum. I'm going to confirm staff really quickly. Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Joe Wire is not here. So Jennifer Minucci in his place.
Present.
Eva Bauer-Furbish.
Present.
Kim Minolius.
Good morning.
Thank you. Dave Rivera.
Good morning, President.
Mona Babauta.
Present.
Jim Swindler.
Present.
And Kelly Hopper.
Present.
Thank you. That confirms staff on the line. I believe we also have Madeline Chun on the line as well. So welcome, Madeline, too.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you to everyone for joining us this morning. I'll ask for your continued patience as we go through today's board agenda. I'm going to give what is my standard announcement. This is an urban area. I have a busy street right out there, and my mic will remain open, so you may occasionally get some noise from whatever is going by. I'd like to remind everyone to mute their microphones and remember to unmute them when we open up the director's discussion. I'm going to express to Director Grosball the hope that he is not driving that vehicle, but is a passenger in it. If we have directors calling in by phone, please use your mute button or *6 to unmute yourself. I will be asking for any questions or comments on items on the agenda item. Click on reactions and raise hand on your device if you have a question, or press *9 for the raise hand function joining by phone. If there are any questions, the secretary or I will call on you accordingly. If we missed your raised hand, please speak up. Following any discussion, we'll take the appropriate roll call vote. If you are not speaking, please remember to mute your phones to minimize the background noise on today's meeting. And please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. Director Snyder, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes. Right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Snyder, and everyone. Before we move on to public comment under item 4, Madam Secretary, earlier on, you had a count of 6 speakers who might speak today. What do we look like now?
We're still at 6, but at the end of the 6, we would love to poll one more time just to see if there are any other speakers.
Okay. In order to allow the maximum number of speakers, we'll hold any staff responses or comments until the end of public comment. We've allotted 30 minutes for public comments. I think we can give a full 3 minutes to the speakers if it remains at 6. If we go over, I may seek a motion from the board to allow the expansion of public comment. Madam Secretary, the speakers, please.
Thank you. We have Justine helping us facilitate the public comment line today. So I'm going to ask Justine to introduce her first speaker. Director Grosboll, can we have you mute your line, please? Thank you. Justine, go ahead and introduce your first speaker.
Thank you so much. Our first speaker this morning is Kimberly Renee Gamboa. Kimberly Renee.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Renee Gamboa, and I'm holding one of my favorite photos of my 18-year-old son, Kyle Emerson Gamboa. He's smiling from ear to ear in his high school class picture. Kyle jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge on September 20th, 2013 at 11:45 a.m. Today is Kyle's birthday. He would have been 27 years old. And today the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge suicide deterrent is in progress. And today loved ones' lives are still being lost to this bridge, devastating families and friends as it did ours nearly 9 years ago, and many, many others before us. We cannot wait until the construction of the suicide deterrent is complete. Time is of the essence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gamboa, and many of us are very familiar with that photograph and remember it well. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dave Rohde. Mr. Rohde, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Dave Rohde. I'm with the Climate Reality Project. Since August of 2019, the Golden Gate Bridge District has been one of my projects. Why do I come here month after month to address you? It's simple, really. I made a commitment to be an advocate for policies that help and against policies that hurt our efforts to address the climate crisis, because I believe that every individual can make a difference. Obviously, those in positions of power like yourselves can make an even greater difference. You pledged to be part of the solution when you passed a climate emergency resolution the same year I began speaking in front of this board. You've made some decisions I'm happy to applaud. Board members have spoken up in favor of accelerating your transition to zero emissions buses. Last month, you agreed to invest into a zero emissions hydrogen fuel cell ferry project. In other cases, your plans seem inconsistent with a climate emergency. Discussions of a new diesel burning catamaran ferry, for example. When San Francisco Bay Ferry announced their fast new catamaran earlier this week, I told them what I've told you. If the public knew the truth about the environmental impact of biodiesel, they would be fine going a bit slower if it meant they got to travel on a zero emissions ferry. This isn't the only government body that I and my colleagues at the Climate Reality Project monitor. We're currently tracking 4 pieces of climate-related legislation here in the state, weighing in on CARB's new scoping plan, and we're engaging with Senator Wiener and Assemblymember Ting about all these policies. There is movement in the right direction, yet roadblocks, missteps, and resolute inaction stand in the way at every turn. Even in San Francisco, which prides itself on progressive policies, the city has failed time and time again to provide funding for its own Department of Environment. I get it. These issues are complex. As a special district of the state of California, you have to respond to state policies, but you do maintain the ability to lead. That iconic structure that is the heart of your governing district is also the symbolic heart of the San Francisco Bay Area. Look to the future. Don't you want to imagine the majestic Golden Gate Bridge 50 years from now sitting as a centerpiece to a community that came together to mitigate the worst of the climate crisis? Forbes just published research showing that California's existing policies would only cut emissions 45% by 2045. And the state must triple its rate of emissions reduction to achieve its goal. Unproven technologies like carbon capture and misguided efforts like biofuel are not going to get us to zero emissions, not by 2035, as CARB wants us to believe, and not by 2045. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says it all. We cannot afford slow movers, fake movers, or any form of greenwashing in our race against the climate crisis. The transition to net zero must be swift, credible, just, and inclusive. Thank you for listening, and thank you for leading.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodey. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Shane Weinstein. Shane, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, President Terrio and Director Shane Weinstein, President of ATU 1575, representing all the active and retired bus operators at Golden Gate. I'm calling in this morning because shortly you're going to be hearing the GM give his report. My concern is that monthly Mr. Mulligan is reporting to the board the percentage of current ridership on Golden Gate Transit buses. The problem with the pre and post comparison is that we as a bus division are running 263 less trips than pre-pandemic service. How can this comparison be made? We're currently running only 45 commute trips per day as opposed to pre-pandemic time when we were running 272. While Mr. Mulligan may say often that the only way to cross is swim if you aren't taking the bridge, bus, or ferry, if a comparison is going to be made, it must be apples to apples. While almost all major agencies are at 85 to 100% of pre-pandemic service, Golden Gate Transit isn't even sniffing those percentages. Over the last couple of months, many people have written in about Commute Service, which is in the board minutes. Yes, we've lost 1/3 of our operators, but who stayed loyal are here to work. We must expand service. We cannot accept Deputy General Manager Mona Babauch's explanation that we can't put service out because we don't have the bodies. We need to extend the operator's day and put the bus service out there for the public. My ask, Mr. Mulligan, today is that you use numbers that aren't skewed when reporting to the board monthly. We no longer have a robust pre-pandemic service to compare then to now, and it's not right to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Pilpel. David, go ahead.
Good morning again. I wanted to clarify, in case it wasn't clear from my comments yesterday and this morning, that I still believe that the district is a good place overall, despite our occasional policy differences, and frankly is a much better public agency than some of the other agencies that I work with. And I hope that it gets better and not worse, you know, given all the strife in our country right now and what I would anticipate is not going to be a great day today. I just really think we need to make things better. I also commented yesterday on the Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee and the lack of online access to application forms for the various district advisory committees, the San Rafael Transit Center project, bus travel time savings in San Francisco, and the weekend bus service restoration on the Route 150 that started on June 12th. Perhaps staff would respond following public comment. I'm still working on additional letters to the district related to the budget, classification and compensation and other issues, but I will reconsider how much effort to put into that depending on the actions taken today. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Pilpel. There's always room for us to improve. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Kamiko Joseph. Kamiko, please use star to unmute yourself. There you go. Go ahead, Kamiko. Kamiko, are you with us?
Oh, hold on, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kamiko Joseph. I've been with the district 21 years as a bus operator. I'm very concerned that, you know, in our own media, in our own Golden Gate website, we have a mission statement. And it says that the district recognizes its responsibility to work as partners with the federal and state. So with that being said, just passed Juneteenth. And our own company has done nothing to honor this holiday that many lives have been fought for, died in 1863. So I asked you, board, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that we not honor this holiday that's a federal holiday that's been recognized by your own president of the United States? What are we as a company going to do about that? It's been recognized federally, and it's in our own mission statement that the district recognized responsibility to work as a partner with what? Federal and state. With that being said, that's why we as operators and everyone on district property cannot participate in illegal substance. So wouldn't that be along the same lines as a federal holiday that's been passed and been put into action last year? So what are we as a company going to do about honoring Juneteenth? We are a diverse company. We have equity, we have rights. And with these rights, it should be honored at all costs. When I started here 21 years ago, I was promised a pension, which right now, I'm looking to retire in 4 years. But right now, I'm not sure because my district has refused to put even more money into to guarantee that I'm going to get what I deserve and put my heart and hard-on work into. Our company, the district, is budgeted for 275 drivers. Right now, the district is saving money because we have 176 drivers. And for you to go into negotiations and not even discuss wages, and we're forced to be out in COVID times, continually facing abuse, facing mental abuse, stress, and keep a smile on our face while driving the bus, I ask you again, what is our district going to do? Are you just going to save face and push it under the carpet? Or are you going to do something about it? Because I have a commitment with me. I've been here 21 years, so that's my commitment. What's the commitment in return for drivers and for anyone in the district? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Matthew Corbett. Matthew, go ahead. You may need to use, there you go.
My name is Matthew Corbett. I've been with the district as a professional transit coach operator for 26 years. My regular work day often exceeds 13 hours. Many other operators work more than that. I want to know why my fellow bus operators and I are not considered as employees, but rather as opponents who are constantly attacked, diminished, graded, and dismissed as the ugly red-headed stepchild. Being underappreciated is the norm for us. Every 3 months, we have to worry about how much money we expect to lose out of our paychecks. We stood our ground and stared COVID dead in the face and came to work every day and did our jobs despite the health risks. Yet here we are today starting new contract negotiations, and the district's position is to take as much from the drivers as possible while offering us next to nothing. Is there no shame in this approach? In order to feel shame, one must first have honor. There seems to be no honor when it comes to new contract negotiations. We are the lowest paid of all Bay Area operators. This needs to change. Be honorable, be fair, be respectful, and do the right thing. This is the appropriate thing to do. It is expected. We want just what is ours, what is fair. We can negotiate and come to terms with what we need as bus operators. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Ms. Bach, has anyone else come on?
I believe if you can just give me a few moments just to ask, that would be wonderful, President Area. Thank you.
Thank you.
You did great.
President Area, we do have another speaker, Brenda Shepard.
Thank you. Please have Ms. Shepard go ahead.
Go ahead,
Can
Brenda.
you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you? Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Brenda Shepard. I've been with the district since 1981. I was 31 years toll collector, and right now I'm a bus operator. So I wasn't going to say anything until one of your callers were asking for information about that 150. I understand the frustration and everything, but you guys haven't advertised anything on that 150 or not very good. You're leaving it to the bus drivers to empty out at R7 at Centerfield Transit Center. I asked the union, and me being a union person, I even talked to Mr. Hyde and told him that we needed at least a supervisor down there at R7 for those 150s so that people would understand and talk to supervisors or someone higher to meet the 150s. He said, quote, that they're very shorthanded. So that is, and the reason why I'm stating this is because you're asking bus drivers, again, to do other things added on to being safe, driving, dealing with passengers that don't understand or wonder what's happening. And it's very stressful. You keep on asking us to do everything, but yet everybody else, you're not asking nobody else to help us. And then you wonder why you guys are cutting our breaks. We need it mentally and physically, more breaks, more time, but you guys aren't giving it to us, but yet you want us to do more. And I don't get it. I mean, why we can't work as a team here and get stuff done? Because this is ridiculous. You're stressing the bus drivers out. And pretty soon you're not going to have that many. Because I can understand if just the people that need to retire can retire. But you got people that just started within 5 years leaving also. What the hell is that telling you? That's telling you something's not right. Fix it. We used to love being here and coming to work and waiting till we retire. What happened to those days? Try to get those back, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shepard. Ms. Bach, anyone else now?
I don't believe so, President Dario. No one else is unmuted to let me know that they wish to speak.
Thank you. Mr. General Manager, there's various things in there. Any of them that you wish to respond to?
Certainly. I'd like to thank once again Kimberly Renee Gamboa for her advocacy and also to acknowledge the birthday of her son. With respect to Mr. Rohde, I would also like to thank him for his advocacy. Some of the things we do he agrees with, some he does not, but he's always a great reminder, and we look forward to continuing to work with him. To Mr. Shane Weinstein, he is right. We have a lot of bus driver vacancies, almost a third, and we are operating less trips. We're also operating a lot less trips in the ferry side. And as customers come back, we look forward to adding service. We are looking at hiring. I believe we just approved 9 drivers for our next bus driver class. And hopefully we'll have a very busy year hiring this next year. And we're very appreciative of the partnership with the ATU Local 1575 and our community colleges in North Bay for a creative program for a pre-apprenticeship program for bus operators. We think it's a great path forward. But when I come to my GM report, I can talk about bus, ferry, and bridge numbers to address his concern then. Mr. Pilpel, I agree, we should always get better. And we look forward to getting better. We look forward to his upcoming letters. The Centerfield Transit Center, we're working on a final EIR. We're also setting up some meetings with city leadership to make sure that we're all on the same page. We look forward to that. The 150, we have changed the service. We are experimenting with different service designs as we navigate the long tail of the pandemic. And, we look forward to his continued input. For Ms. Kimiko Joseph, I would like to thank her for 21 years of service. She's a great operator. With respect to the Juneteenth holiday, holidays for our represented employees are established by their collective bargaining agreements. But staff had a conversation, the management team this Wednesday, about coming forward with an item for the non-represented employees in the next month or two for next year's Juneteenth holiday for the non-represented employees, where we would trade one of the other holidays, a floating holiday, for that. With respect to our represented employees, the Union Coalition had it as a written proposal, but it is one that they withdrew as part of our last negotiations, and we fully anticipate that it'll come forward again. And so we look forward to those discussions. But once again, I would like to thank Kimiko for her service and her great interactions with our customers. With respect to the pension, the district currently contributes 34.5% of wages to the pension trust. We are in negotiations, not surprisingly. The contract expires at the end of August. We want to have a new contract in place by September 1st. And we did receive authority from our Labor Advisory Committee this morning for some wages. And we look forward to sitting across from the union leadership at the table. With respect to Master Corbett, Matthew, I'd like to thank him for his 26 years of service and for his diligence being a bus operator. And Brenda Shepard, I'd really like to thank for her many, many years as a toll collector prior to transitioning for becoming a bus operator. And we do need to do a better job of advertising some of our service changes, and we'll take her comments to heart. So with that, it concludes my very quick summary or responses to some of the comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. So that would be it for public comment for today on items on today's agenda. Madam Secretary, the next item in the agenda then, please.
Thank you. Item number 5 is to approve the consent calendar, including approval of minutes from the committee and board meetings in May, as well as ratification of previous actions by the auditor controller. Consent calendar is located on page 47 of your packet, and there's no questions, then I would like to respectfully ask for a motion to approve.
For taking a motion, are there questions, comments, corrections from board members on the consent calendar?
Before we keep going, I think Director Snyder had his hand up earlier, so I want to make sure.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead, Director Snyder.
I thought I took it down, but no, I was just to Dennis and kind of the Juneteenth thing. I was just wondering if there's an appropriate place to discuss that. I mean, I think, especially with the things that are coming out of DC and the Supreme Court the last few days, I mean, it seems like we go backwards as a nation in some ways, and seems like there's other areas where I've learned a lot about our own history recently, even the kind of the Juneteenth stuff. And I think it's an important thing to acknowledge, even if we do a celebration without kind of the bargaining stuff. I think it's next year we should acknowledge it one way, shape, or form. And I know I've participated in our local stuff, and I know a lot of the board of directors either had a committees or participated. So I think it's an important one. I don't know where the appropriate place to put it is, but just wanted to flag that and appreciate the commentator bringing it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Snyder. If there are other comments on the director's responses to public comment, I would ask that they be held until the general manager's report and then raised then. So anyone else from the board wishing to comment on the consent calendar? I see. Was that your hand being raised, Director Hill, or was that just doing something with the screen?
No, I was changing the screen, but I'll make a motion if you like.
I think we are then ready for motion. Go ahead. Yeah, I'll take the motion from you. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah, second.
And there is a second. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. We have a first and a second on the consent calendar, starting with Director Arnold. I saw your lips move.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Conroy.
Aye.
Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosball.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Tirio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
15 ayes does it. Madam Secretary, the next item, please.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the report of the general manager, and that staff report can be found on page 49 to 59 of your packet. And Dennis Mulligan is there, as we can see, to present his report. Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
Good morning, members of the board, members of the public and staff. My written report is before you. I'll highlight just a couple items. One is that we started Angel Island Ferry service December 13th, 2021. In the midst of a global pandemic, we started new service. As part of our goal to get cars off of the Golden Gate Bridge. We stepped into the shoes of a private operator, Blue and Gold, that had operated out of San Francisco for many years. Our service is from San Francisco to Angel Island and back. That service operates out of the Ferry building as opposed to Pier 41, so it's much more convenient for transit for folks within San Francisco and Muni, as well as people from the East Bay or the South Bay coming up on BART. It's a growing service. It's new, so a lot will be learned in the coming months, but we're really thrilled that we did it. Ultimately, we think it'll reflect Sausalito service in terms of seasonality and weather. Sausalito service is very weather dependent. Earlier this month, we had a nice Saturday where Sausalito ferry route alone carried over 2,000 passengers in a single day. Angel Island also is great because shortly after we started the service, they opened a new immigration museum on the island. And while school field trips have been lacking, we look forward to the fall when they come back. But the best part of that service is it really offers an ability to fill seats on a boat in the reverse commute direction on weekdays. On weekdays, we have commute boats leaving Tiburon going to San Francisco, and they would return empty. Well, now the boats will stop at Angel Island, picking up passengers in San Francisco, which makes that service more productive. So we're using the same crew and same boats. We're able to move more people. And so I just wanted to draw your attention to that. With respect to COVID, travel is still down in the Golden Gate corridor, whether by bridge, bus, or boat. There's been no uptick in swimmers spotted either. Bridge traffic is down about 20%, but during the morning commute, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., it's down 30%. So people are not commuting into San Francisco for work, but where we're seeing more robust travel is for recreational purposes. Our bus ridership is down about 60%, so we're only carrying about 40% of our prior passengers. And ferry ridership is down about 64%. We're carrying 36% of our prior passengers. While those numbers sound grim, we're seeing continued growth in both. Ferry ridership is growing. March of this year was 10 times higher than March of last year. So clearly, as we navigate the long tail of the pandemic, we have a need to staff up, fill vacant positions, and add service back. But we want to do that in a judicious fashion. Running empty buses or empty boats is bad for the environment. Mr. Rohde would scold us for that, but it'd also be bad for our bottom line. We continue to spend one-time federal COVID relief money to help us navigate through to the other side of the pandemic. The most recent week that we have data available, the week of June 5th, our bus and ferry fares coupled with bridge tolls were $1.1 million less than they were the same week pre-pandemic. So we are taking in about $1 million less every week. And so the reason we're able to navigate the pandemic is we have a lot of federal funds, and we did shrink through attrition during the pandemic, and we're now starting to staff up. So that's where we are. We clearly offer a lot less bus service, same with the ferry side. We used to offer 42 trips a day out of Larkspur. Now we're operating about a dozen. So our services are down, but as we see customers, we are adding service. On Monday, I believe we're adding one Southern Marin Route 114 evening trip, and we're adding another evening ferry trip out of from San Francisco to Larkspur. So we continue to add back service in an incremental way, but to go out there and put back all the prior service would be challenging from a personnel perspective, but also from a financial perspective. With respect to other things, I would like to acknowledge some of our employees. Dennis Tan retired as a bridge laborer on June 1st after 23 years and 13 days of service with the district. Dennis Tan, like one of our speakers, Brenda, originally started as a toll collector here at the Bridge District. When we transitioned to all electronic tolling, he transitioned to be a laborer here at the bridge. He had a great skill set. Prior to employment with us, he attended school in the Philippines and in Moraga, California, and he worked at a variety of other jobs. But in his free time, he enjoys relaxing with his, using his words, very beautiful wife, 3 married kids, 1 still in college, and 8 grandchildren. So he's very much enjoys spending time with his family, and now that he's retired, he gets to do more of that. And personally, I miss seeing his smiling face here every morning at the toll plaza, because he typically is working outside when I would come to work. I would also like to do some acknowledgements for service credit. One I would like to recognize first is for 25 years for Raymond Wu. He's a bus operator. It's hard to believe that he's been here 25 years because he looks like he came here yesterday. He's a phenomenal employee. He also is key for working as an instructor in our safety and training department, where in addition to driving a bus, he's instrumental in training our new bus operators when they come on board. He trains them with the requisite skills to be a first-class bus operator. He was raised in San Francisco. He attended Skyline College, and he received a certification to be an automotive technician, but we're fortunate that he works for us. He enjoys outdoor activities in his spare time, and we want to acknowledge his great 25 years with us, and we hope we get many, many more decades from Mr. Raymond Wu. We also have a 20-year service award to a bridge heavy-duty mechanic, Mr. Richard Williams. He's been with us since June 10th of 20 years ago. He has been with us and working tirelessly for our team here at the bridge, and we're very grateful for all that he does. We also have a couple 20-year service awards for our first class of bridge patrol officers. Officer Elpidio Roca started with the district on June 24th, 20 years ago. He's been with us since then, along with one of his colleagues, Robert Smith. He also started on June 24th. And I'd like to personally thank both of them for being willing to work the night shifts. They have seniority, they can bid multiple shifts. The night shift is oftentimes problematic and challenging here at the bridge. And so I would like to recognize both of them for that. I would also recognize that Mr. Smith has been the Employee of the Month and the Employee of the Year, and he's received numerous accommodations. So I would like to recognize them. And finally, for the Employee of the Month for this month, for June of 2022, the Employee of the Month Committee, which is a committee of our employees, selected Patricia Slater. Ms. Patricia Slater works as an administrative assistant in the under Ms. Kelly Hopper in the A&D, Administration and Development Division. She's been a tireless assistance during the pandemic. She is our lead contact tracer. She's trained other employees in contact tracing. When the pandemic first started, when we had a couple of positives, it was challenging. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge in 1 week in Omicron, we had 49 positives. Ms. Slater has been a godsend in training other people to assist with this effort, and we're very fortunate to have her as part of our team. She joined us in December of 2012, and before that, she worked for Antenna Audio, which some of you in Southern Marin may be familiar with. Former supervisor from Marin County's husband has that company, but she's had a variety of different jobs, and she's just a wonderful person. She's a key part of our team. She grew up in the East Bay, was born in Walnut Creek, attended high school in Concord. She attended Cal State Hayward, now known as Cal State East Bay. And so she would also like to mention that her father, as a Berkeley native, saw the Golden Gate Bridge being built and was thrilled to see the finished monument from such a special location. But with that, hats off to Ms. Patricia Slater, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager Mulligan. I think we all appreciate hearing about our employees on these occasions. Are there any directors with questions on or supplementing the General Manager's report? I don't see hands raised. Ms. Amrit Ko-Wong, do you see anything?
I do not.
Okay, I do have a question. In correspondence, we have an email from Kieran Colligan from Sausalito. And if you look at that correspondence, it includes a string of tweets, one of which is mine. So I'm obliged to follow up on it. It concerns a stretch of Alexander Avenue that's under our jurisdiction, just past the Sausalito line, as I recall. And if you're on a bicycle or walking, it comes right after the steepest point in the climb on Alexander Avenue. And at that point, the hillside has given way, and there is a K-rail that catches some of the debris from the hillside and narrows the road so that most of the lane is eliminated. And the portion that remains is broken up in some areas. It's a little tricky to ride through. And So that pinch point, obviously, especially with cars coming up a little bit in the blind off the steep hill, is a potential danger spot for bicyclists and for walkers. And so Mr. Culligan pointed to an earlier point in the bridges dealing with it, where it seemed like they were going to do something about it. But at least in the time I've been riding up there since about 2015, I've seen no change. General Manager Mulligan, could you talk a little about that stretch of Alexander Avenue and what's going on?
Certainly. Just for those commissioners that weren't in yesterday's meeting, Alexander Avenue, or the lateral that goes down the hill from the bridge, is mostly within the Bridge District's jurisdiction. The underlying land is owned by the federal government, currently administered by the Park Service. At the top, which is outside this area, when you exit 101, it's actually federal lands that Caltrans controls, but shortly going down Alexander Avenue, all the way to the city limit is Bridge District permitted area. We have a permit from what was then the Department of War, later the Army, now the Park Service, that gives us certain obligations with respect to that road. It was constructed as part of the access to the bridge. So there's two issues that the author of those emails and tweets highlighted. One is the condition of the pavement on Alexander Avenue, and the other is that as you approach the city limit, there's a pinch point. And so I'll address those two separately. The Bridge District is required to maintain Alexander Avenue. We do have a repaving project in our 10-year capital plan. It's not in the current fiscal year, but we'll send our crews out from the bridge to make sure that if there's potholes, we can fill those while we await the larger project. But the bigger issue the author highlighted was that there's an area where, as you leave Sausalito and you start going up the hill, where the road narrows. The lanes are standard width lanes, but the shoulders have been restricted by K-Rail. We do not have a project program at this time to do a major slide repair. It's important to note that this area has slid numerous times. Immediately downhill from it, you see where the surface of the slope has been repaired. A major project would be a significant undertaking. So at this juncture, we have K-Rail that is at the edge of the shoulder. You have maybe at most a foot, probably less than a foot, most of a couple 100-foot long segment. So you have a lane going uphill. It's important to note that as you leave Sausalito, the posted speed limit going up the hill is 20 miles an hour through this stretch. And under the California Vehicle Code, vehicles and bicycles do share the road in residential areas. But we are aware that longer term, there is a desire to do something at this location. That something is quite expensive to widen it, and it involves the Park Service. The next time you go through there, President Theriault, as you go down the hill, you'll notice that on the right side, it's actually not a slope, it's a side hill viaduct. So there's a partial structure on the bay side, and just past this on the uphill side, you can see where a lot of work has been done. The homes that are just past the district's boundary and the city limit have been damaged by landslides at least once each home. A couple of the upper ones have been rebuilt multiple times. So it's a very challenging and difficult location. At this juncture, we provide safe passage, but at this juncture, for a couple 100 feet, we do not have an extra shoulder on the right side for bicycles going up the hill through this 20-mile-an-hour zone. Once they get past it, the speed limit does increase to 35 miles an hour. And I believe the author is concerned that some people violate the posted speed limit through this stretch, and we're very cognizant of that. So at this juncture, there's two issues. The paving is in our 10-year capital plan. At this juncture, we don't have a project to do a significant slide repair through this area. And so we do have K-Rail that keeps the roadway safe by keeping the debris out, and we clean it out periodically.
Thank you, General Manager Mulligan. I see Director Hill with his hand up. Go ahead, please, Director Hill.
Yeah, as I've commented to General Manager Mulligan about this a number of times, and I ride it as a bicyclist, as do you, Mr. President. I think this is something that really needs to get a lot of attention. There are very few places I feel very nervous in riding around the Bay Area, but this is one of them. I would like to comment that Caltrans, I realize this has nothing to do with Caltrans right now, but Caltrans has started funding bikeways that parallel state highways. It's very difficult to do this with the butt tunnel and everything, but it would be hopeful that we can maybe see if we can arrange some financing through Caltrans, rather, to help us with funding to try to widen it. It is not just the width of it, but it's very windy, and particularly if you're riding up the hill, it's quite dangerous because a lot of people are riding it at less than 10 miles an hour. Pedestrians are even lower, and there are cars that are speeding in that area too. So it is a very dangerous section of road. Thank you.
If I may respond, 2 points. One is safety is measured statistically by accident rates, not by people's hunch. And so from that yardstick, this is not an unsafe segment, though it does feel uncomfortable to ride it. And I clearly acknowledge that. It's uncomfortable to walk it. With respect to asking Caltrans for money, I do want to state for the record that the district is currently asking the state for $300 million for our seismic retrofit project as part of the state budget surplus. And at this juncture, I dare not ask the state for two things because they may give us one of them, and it may be the one that's for a nominal dollar amount. So I would suggest that we postpone asking the state for any money for this fix, at least for the next couple months, while the state navigates its budget discussions, because I think it would be ill-advised and it would present huge challenges for this board if we're not successful in getting a lot of other people's money for our seismic retrofit project.
Thank you. Director Maston, I see your hand up.
Yeah. So I just looked on Google Map at that hillside that looks very unstable. And it occurs to me that if we don't have it in a plan anytime soon, I'm wondering if there's some, hillside stabilization in the way of planting and that sort of thing that could be done to prevent any further erosion of that hillside.
If it's of interest, we could have the engineering department come back at a future meeting and do a presentation at B&O about this location. My ask is that at this juncture, we don't usurp our efforts to get $300 million for the retrofit by asking for a modest sum for this little fix.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask that we ask the state at this point or Caltrans at this state, but I think it would behoove us to learn a little bit more about what's going on there and what some of the possibilities, interim possibilities are for some modicum of resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Maston. Any other directors with questions for General Manager Mulligan? Seeing none, that concludes this item. Madam Secretary, the next one, please.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6B is the report of the attorney. Kim Minolius' staff report can be found on page 61 of your packet, and we have Kim on the line to present this report. Kim, go ahead.
Thanks, Amaret. Good morning, everyone. Happy to take any questions on the report. And just to alert you that we will have a closed session for the cases listed. There are 3 cases. We'll try to keep you as short a time as possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Minolius. Directors, you have Mr. Minolius' report. Are there any questions on it? I see none. Madam Secretary, the next item.
Thanks. We're going to move on to item 6C, which is the report of the chief engineer, and that report can be found in the B&O packet, Building and Operating Committee meeting packet, as agenda item number 8. Ava Bauer-Furbish is also here to present her report. Ava, go ahead.
Thank you, Amaret. I apologize if you hear noise, but I have a construction going next to my place. My written report is before you, and I would like to speak a little bit about the progress on our suicide deterrent project. The contractor is concentrating their efforts on installing border cables for the net on the main span of the suspension bridge, and to date, the contractor installed about 3,000 linear feet of the cable. This is out of about 17,000 linear feet that eventually will be placed on the main span. They also working on the installation of the net of the arms that will support the net on the south approach viaduct. And on the north approach viaduct, they moving access systems from the west to the east side in preparation of the arm installation on the east side of the north approach viaduct. So with this, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbish. Are there questions for Ms. Bauer-Furbish from the directors? I see none. And I've just noted that for at least a couple of us I can see on the screen here today, construction noise is music. Then, Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda, please.
I'm going to continue on to item 8 since there are no other reports under item 7. Item number 8A is report of the Building and Operating Committee of yesterday, June 23rd. The summary of recommendations for this meeting starts on page 65 of your packet, and I'll turn it back over to you, President.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Directors, the action items under 8A were discussed at yesterday's Building and Operating Committee with some vigor and thoroughness before coming to us today. Chair Garbarino, please begin your report.
Thank you, President Theriault, and thanks to everyone who joined us at the meeting. As chair of the Building and Operating Committee, I'm happy to start with item 8A1, recommending the board authorize the general manager to execute a general agreement for the cooperative improvement of visitor experiences, facilities, services, and interpretation at the Golden Gate Bridge and adjacent national park lands, and with the National Park Service and the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy to support and enhance visitor programs at the Golden Gate Bridge as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you for the motion, Chair Garbarino. So there is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
And there's a second. Then are there questions or comments from board members on item 8A1?
I just wanted to make a quick comment if I could.
Please go ahead.
I just wanted to say how important this partnership is. Oftentimes it's these areas that are what are seen by visitors to the bridge and kind of what the Golden Gate Bridge is known for nationally. So I just want to commend staff on creating an effective partnership and ensuring that when visitors from all over the world come, you know, they see the best of what the Golden Gate Bridge District is and has to offer, and they have very nice visitor areas. So I wanted to make that statement.
Thank you, Director Thayer, and I see various members of staff that were nodding during that. Anyone else from the directors who wishes to comment or have questions? Chair Garbarino, did you want to say something more? Or are you lit up there?
No, I think that's good. It's all good.
Okay, thank you. Then seeing no one else, Madam Secretary, the roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Voting on item number 8A1 with a first and second, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Conroy.
Sorry, I was unmuting. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
Okay, the Harley voted yes too. Chair Garbarino, please continue your report.
Thank you. The Building and Operating Committee is also recommending approval of item 8A2, authorizing the general manager to execute a 2-year license agreement with the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for Golden Gate Transit to continue to provide regional service to and from San Francisco using 2 bays on the street level bus plaza at Salesforce Transit Center as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And there is a motion from Chair Garbarino, and is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second. Any questions or comments from board members on this item? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, another roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8A2, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy.
Aye.
Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
And 15 passes it. Chair Garbarino, continue, please.
All good. Next, the Building and Operating Committee is recommending approval of item 8A3 to approve award of contract number 2022 F083 Larkspur Ferry Terminal Berths and Channel Maintenance Dredging to Manson Construction Incorporated of Seattle, Washington, in the amount of $13,975,500. Establish a contingency for the contract in the amount of $2,096,325, equal to 15% of the contract award amount, and authorize a capital budget decrease in the amount of $5,600,000 in the fiscal year 2022-2023 Ferry Division capital budget for project number 2340. Larkspur Ferry Terminal Berth and Channel Dredging Construction, as concurred with by the Finance Auditing Committee and as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you, Chair Garbarino, for the motion again. And again, is there a second?
Carr, second.
Couple seconds popped up. Any questions or comments from board members on item 8A3? I see none. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote again, please.
Thank you. As you mentioned, voting on item 8A3, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy.
Aye. Sorry, there's an Indian wedding going on outside my window in the hotel, so I apologize for the background noise.
Thank you. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
And again, you have 15 again.
And 15 passes it. Director Conroy, we can't see you, but I hope you're dancing. Next item.
What was that?
Oh, we can't see you, but I hope you're dancing because it's usually good music. Yeah? Chair Garbarino, please continue your report.
Okay, so I don't feel any FOMO, and just as way of explanation, on occasion, a 1-ton tree stump drops outside my window. So you might be hearing that too. This is very entertaining. And finally, the Building and Operating Committee is recommending approval of item 8A4 to authorize execution of the First Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 2021 F018, Larkspur Ferry Terminal Berth and Channel Maintenance Dredging Design, Pile Design, and Permit Support Services with Anchor QEA LLC in an amount not to exceed $136,110, and establish a 15% contingency for the professional services agreement in the amount of $20,420 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thanks, Chair Garbarino. There's a motion. And is there a second?
I'll second it.
And a second. Questions or comments from board members on this one? None. Again, Madam Secretary, the roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Voting on item 8A4 with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy.
Aye.
Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes again.
Thank you. Item is adopted. Chair Garbarino, are you quite done with us?
I thankfully state that that concludes my report.
And thank you for your good work, Chair Garbarino.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda, please.
So I'm giving Chair Rabbit a second to take a big deep breath before he starts on his report, but we're going to move on to 8B, and that's the report of the Finance Auditing Committee meeting of Thursday, June 23rd. And His summary of recommendations for this meeting starts on page 67 of your packet. And take your time, Chair Rabbit.
Colleagues, action items in 8B were discussed yesterday at the Finance and Auditing Committee meeting before coming before us today. Chair Rabbit, if you filled your lungs, launch in.
No, thank you very much, President Theriault. We do have 6 items for a recommendation today, so I'll start with item 8B1. The Finance Auditing Committee is recommending authorization of operating budget transfers in the amount of $6 million or 2.5% of the total fiscal year 21-22 operating budget expenses as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And there's Chair Rabbit's motion. Anyone with a second?
I'll second.
And there's a second. Anyone from the board with comments or questions on this item? Again, none. And again, Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Thank you. On item 8B1, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy.
Aye.
Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosboll.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Meston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
15 ayes again does it. Chair Rabbit, please soldier on.
The Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8B2 to authorize a budget increase in the fiscal year 22-23 Ferry Division capital budget for project number 2241, the fiscal year 22 Ferry Vessel Rehab in the amount of $1,100,000 effective July 1st, 2022, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you for sparing me the correction. And thank you for the motion. Anyone from the board with a second here?
I'll second it.
There is a second. And anyone with comments or questions? Again, seeing and hearing none. Again, Madam Secretary, a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B2, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy.
Aye.
Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosboll. Director Grosboll? All right, we'll come back to Greg.
Yes.
Thank you. No problem. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Meston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. It's 15 ayes again.
Unanimity does it. Mr. Rabbit, Chair Rabbit, please go on.
Sure. Moving on, the Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8B3, authorizing the general manager or his designee to execute for and on behalf of the district any documents necessary relative to the fiscal year 2022-2023 State of Good Repair Program and approve submission of the Ferry Division Capital Project number 1940, Purchase New Vessel for the fiscal year 2022-2023 proposed project list to the Metropolitan Transportation Commission as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you for the motion, Chair Rabbit. Is there a second?
Second.
There's one someplace, I think. Madam Secretary, did you get that?
I got that.
Okay. Then questions or comments from board members on this one? And again, seeing none, Madam Secretary, please a roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B3, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy.
Aye.
Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosboll.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Meston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
and 15 again means it passes. Chair Rabbit, on please.
This next one's a little longer, so bear with me. The Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8B4 to approve the district's liability insurance program effective July 1st, 2022, as detailed in the staff report, to delegate to the general manager the authority to purchase the excess general and automobile liability insurance, including public officials and employment practices liability with Terrorism Risk Insurance Act coverage, with various insurance companies with which the insurance broker is still negotiating, consistent with the terms described in the staff report, up to a not to exceed premium amount of $4,535,721. The committee is also recommending approval of renewal of the excess workers' compensation and employers' liability insurance program, public officials' employment practices liability insurance program, fiduciary liability insurance program for the other public employee benefits trust board, crime insurance program, and cyber liability program. Additionally, approve the property insurance program for building and facilities, a renewal of the Marin Transit bus property damage program, and continued funding the restricted bridge self-insurance reserve fund with an investment of $1,300,000, and I so move.
Thank you for the motion, Chair Rabbit. Nice work. Is there a second?
Second.
A couple of possible seconds there. Questions or comments? An awfully important, but awfully expensive this time item. Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B4, we have Director Arnold,
Aye.
Director Conroy, Director Conroy.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosbol,
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Meston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie,
Aye.
Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. That's 15 ayes.
it passes. Chair Rabbit, please continue.
The Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8B5 to authorize execution of the Seventh Amendment to contract number 2019 D67, interim temporary staffing services with Techie Brains, Inc. of Normal, Illinois, in the amount of $130,000 to provide support services for the Kronos timekeeping system project, and authorize the general manager to approve future amendments to the agreement with Techie Brains if deemed in the district's best interest and if funds are available as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you, Chair Rabbit, for the motion. One of the great company names ever, as we noted yesterday. Is there a second?
I'll second it, but I can't stop laughing at the name of the place and the name of the company. Sorry.
There is a second. No, we're with you. Are there questions or comments apart from laughter on the item? Seeing none, hearing none. Madam Secretary, please conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B5, starting with Director Arnold,
Aye.
Director Conroy,
Aye.
Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosbol,
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Meston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie,
Aye.
Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. It's 15 ayes.
that passes. Chair Rabbit, keep going, keep going.
Gladly. Moving on from our normal techie brains to our last item of the Finance Auditing Committee is recommending approval of item 8B6 to approve adoption of the fiscal year 2022-2023 proposed operating and capital budgets, which includes changes to the reserve structure and table of organization, salary increases for the coalition and non-represented employees, as salary increases for ATU represented employees are to be negotiated, a capital contribution amount of $21 million, authorized budget increases for 4 capital projects by a total of $8,477,000 to be funded with 100% district reserves, and approve all other related items as detailed in the staff report. And I so move. I also thank staff for all the great work putting the budget together, especially in these times. So I so move that one too.
Second.
And there's a motion and a second just like that without my asking. Questions or comments? Then, Madam Secretary, the roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on items 8B6, and we start with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy, I believe, is no longer on this call. Yes, Director Conroy is left. So absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
No.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Six. Thank you. Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15, no, we're there. 13 ayes and 1 no.
13-1 still passes. Chair Rabbit, are you done with us now?
That concludes my report. Thank you.
And thank you for that report and for your good lungs. Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda, please.
Thank you. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to item 8C, which is the report of the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee meeting of Friday, June 24th, 2022. And that summary of recommendations for this meeting is on page 69 of the packet. I wanted to specifically note that this morning we did make a slight change to the first item of 8C1 for the master ordinance. And at the rules meeting this morning, the directors noted that there appeared to be an internal conflict between two, I believe, the requirements applicable to electric bicycles. Specifically on page 60 of the packet, it stated electric bicycles may be ridden on the bridge's sidewalks using the electric motor, so as long as the cyclist stays within the bridge speed limits. While page 62 states motor-driven cycles and motorized bicycles are permitted on the bridge's sidewalks if the engines and motors are not in operation. In this context, as defined in the master ordinance, these are 3 distinct devices. A motor-driven cycle is a motorcycle with a motor that displaces less than 150 cubic centimeters. A motorized bicycle is akin to a moped, and an electric bicycle is a bicycle equipped with a fully operable pedals and an electric motor of less than 750 watts. Given that the distinct safety implications of these various devices, the board determined to treat these devices differently. So we will relook at that section again, but there's probably a reason. That's why I wanted to explain it for why we wrote it the way we wrote it. But I will revisit it with the attorney, so just so you know.
Thank you for that, Madam Secretary. Chair Hernandez is not with us today. Vice Chair Arnold, it's in your capable hands. Your report, please.
Thank you, President Theriault. The Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee met earlier this morning and is recommending approval of Board Agenda Item 8.c.I, or 1, to adopt Master Ordinance 2022 and repeal Master Ordinance 2017 to incorporate ordinances adopted by the board since the adoption of Master Ordinance 2017, and to approve related actions as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Arnold. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
There's a second. And are there any questions or comments from board members on this or possibly on the clarification from Madam Secretary? Seeing none, then Madam Secretary, a roll call vote.
Thank you. Starting with Director Arnold for 8C1.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosboll. Let me double check. Did we lose Ms. Director Grosboll? We lost Director Grosboll as well. All right. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie,
Aye.
Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes, conditional as reviewed by the item.
thank you. Is that First Vice President Cochran
Yes.
and President Terrio?
Yes,
Thank you. You have 13 ayes.
thank you. 13 ayes does it again. Chair Arnold, continue, please.
Yes, thank you. The Rules Policy and Industrial Relations Committee is also recommending item 8.C.2 to approve implementation of an enhanced vacation accrual policy in the engineering department to accrue paid vacation up to a maximum of 30 days at the accrual rates detailed in the staff report and based on certified relevant years of work experience in the industry, either at the district or in positions prior to district employment, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you for the motion, Vice Chair Arnold. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting with item 8C2, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosboll is absent. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie,
Aye.
Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. That's 13 ayes.
13 ayes, the matter passes. Vice Chair Arnold, plow ahead, please.
Okay. The Rules Policy and Industrial Relations Committee is also recommending item 8.C.3 to approve actions relative to the engineering department reorganization and amend the table of organization accordingly as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Questions or comments? None again. Madam Secretary, roll call vote again then, please.
Thank you. Voting item 8C3, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosboll is absent. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie,
Aye.
Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. That's 13 ayes.
and the item passes. Vice Chair Arnold, thanks for filling in so capably. But I'll give you one last chance. Do you have anything else to add?
That concludes my report.
Very good. Okay. Then, Madam Secretary, next item on the agenda.
Thank you, President Terrio. We're going to have no addresses to the board under item number 9. So we're going to keep moving on to item number 10, which is special order of business. And then we're going to start with item 10A, and that's relative to conducting these remote meetings committee and board meetings. And at this time, no further changes at the state level. The brief staff reports on page 71 of the packet is recommending the board continue to adopt this resolution to allow us to continue remote meetings in accordance with Assembly Bill 361. And I respectfully request the board's approval on this item with understanding that the board could potentially be considering this again at its next meeting in July.
The directors have heard the secretary's request. Are there questions or comments on item 10A? I see none. Can I have a motion to fulfill the secretary's
So
request?
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. We're voting item 10A with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy is still absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosball is absent. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 13 ayes.
thank you. Then we are on to the next item, Madam Secretary.
We're moving on to agenda item number 10B, and that's a discussion and possible action to terminate the suspension of board procedural rules and policies for COVID-19 related emergency actions. Mr. Mulligan's brief staff reports on page 73, and he's available to answer any questions.
Are there board members with questions or comments on this particular item? What I would look for in that case is a motion to continue consideration of this item to special order of business at the next regular meeting of the board.
Also
On behalf
moved.
of, on behalf of Terrio, we have to approve this one. It's his motion.
A long-standing motion.
Yes.
So there's motions and seconds there, Madam Secretary, I think. Could we have a roll call vote?
Thank you. We're voting on item 10B with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold.
Aye.
Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosball is absent. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
In support of our president, aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie.
Aye.
Director Thier.
For Mike, aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. That's 13 ayes.
13 ayes does it. I pledge that at some point in the not too distant future, we're going to revisit this and think about what we do next. But this is not that moment yet. Before we move on to item number 11, unfinished business, which will be a closed session under Attorney Minolius. I want to thank everyone for being patient during this meeting and for waiting for us for our late start. We'll leave the video meeting of the board for the duration of the closed session and return afterward. Members of the public who wish to stay on the line or live stream may do so until our return. Attorney Minolius, take us into closed session, please.
Thank you, President Terrio. At this time, the board will go into closed session under Government Code Section 54956.9A for a discussion about three cases. One, the Kendrick Kelly matter as listed on the agenda. Two, the Montgomery matter, and three, the Gregorio matter.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, you have reminders for us.
I do. Thank you. We're going to ask that remind staff and directors to mute their microphones on their computers and devices and turn off your cameras. And we'd like you to call into the phone number provided for our closed session report. Okay. All. Share screen and stand by. Closed session. Share. There we go.
All right. I apologize, but I have no audio.
I
No
can hear you.
problem. That's okay.
There came.
All right. I want to apologize. Give us one more second. It looks like the public comment line, there it goes. I believe it's there, but we're trying to make sure that the bridge is still there. Our stream is live. I see it up and running on the side, but I want to make sure the audio portion is still live.
Okay. We have to finish soon. My coffee's all gone.
It certainly is. That's certainly a sign right there.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe we're back up and running. I have a thumbs up to my left here.
Very good.
Ready to go.
And, thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Minolius, please provide your closed session report.
Sure. The board met in closed session as noted on the agenda on 3 cases listed on the agenda and was briefed appropriately, and there's nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Minolius, for the nothing to report. We have no new business to report either. Item number 13 is communications. I mentioned one earlier in questions to the general manager on his report. If anyone would like a copy of any communications, please contact the district secretary's office. That is the end of our agenda. There are no further items to be presented to the board. Thanks to everyone for enduring through all this. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And there's a second. I will look for any objection. Giving you all a chance. No one's objected. Hearing no objections, we'll adjourn today's meeting in memory of Walter John Kozlowski, father of operating engineer Aaron Kozlowski, and Tsai Chang, friend of District Secretary Amaret Kowang. So please join me in a moment of silence. This concludes the meeting of the Board of Directors. The time is 11:54 a.m. I need a gavel. That's it for us. Thank you, everybody.
All right. See you all next month for sure.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
President Terrio, you could have used your empty carafe.
I could have, but it's got a glass lining. I don't want to put that at risk. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a call when you're ready.
Okay, we'll do. Thank you.
Thanks.